What's up, guys? Max Finn here, back from, it feels like it's been like a month, but it's really just been 2 weeks. I apologize that we haven't had a Unicorn Perspective episode. 2 weeks ago, I was in Deer Valley at War Room, which was an amazing event. My first time in Deer Valley. Larissa and I got to spend our anniversary there, which was amazing. And then last week, just some stuff happened. It's Q4. We got some craziness, but we have a guest today to bring us right back on track, get us back into the unicorn perspective rhythm. Marc Ensign is here from Loudmouse, and we have some fun stories. Mark and I were just chatting about some of the stuff, and I purposely made the title about as clickbaity as possible to get people's attention. But it's actually a great story, and it's not just a clickbaity story. It's actually, there's a real purpose to it. What we're going to talk about today, we're going to kind of go down this rabbit hole of building a brand, building a personal brand, how to stand out, right? Mark's brand is Loudmouse. It's like, how do I get people's attention? How do I let me back up for a second. A lot of people watching right now are probably in the direct response marketing space, doing paid traffic. That's a big part of our group. They're doing e-com, drop shipping, print on demand, affiliate offers. And a lot of the focus is on, like, I just want people to buy my stuff, right? I just want to put my content out there, put an ad out there. Here's a picture of a t-shirt. Here's a picture of a widget, right? I got plenty of props here. Here's a batarang, and it's an image of a batarang, and batarang on sale, 5% off, link, buy a batarang, right? And that's the extent of their creative process. And it's really difficult to build something for the long term if you're not building an actual brand, if you're not putting any thought into it beyond just like, how do I get somebody to buy something? Now, we're going to talk about all that stuff today. We're going to go down there's a lot of questions I have and a lot of topics that I'm sure Mark's going to be able to cover for us, which I'm excited for. And just as a reminder, about 45 minutes in, we switch over to a Q&A. So if you're in paid traffic training and you have questions about personal branding, any questions for Mark, be sure to drop those comments in the feed below this video, and we'll cut over to there in about 45 minutes or 40 minutes plus or minus. But before we do that, Mark, I've just spoken for about 2 minutes and 30 seconds without letting you say anything. Well, welcome to the Unicorn Perspective. It's great to have you on here, brother.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say this is the easiest interview I've ever done. You
They're
just
not
keep going.
interviews, actually, by the way. It's not an interview. This is
Oh,
actually, I just felt uncomfortable doing lives by myself. So I just bring friends on to sit there and I just
just
talk
there.
for an
Listen.
hour. Yeah,
All
you just sit there and listen. It's like, hey, thumbs up and look good. Let's dive in here. So I would love
Sure.
to hear, and I know the story, but I'd love for you to tell it from your own words, the Be a Dick story. It is an
Sure.
incredible marketing campaign that you did for yourself, essentially. And I think people can really learn a lot from it. So why don't you tell us about that story?
Sure. So I live in Tampa, Florida right now, but about 5 or 6 years ago, I was living in New Jersey. I had a marketing company. I started a marketing company probably in 2001. We were a web design company. Then we went into SEO. Then we went to social media and just kind of followed the trends as it went. And but before all that, I was a musician. And as a musician, I got to get up on stage, play on Broadway, and everybody would clap at the end of the night. I ended every single night with a standing ovation, which was which I highly recommend. It's like a great way to end your day, have people stand up and clap for you. But um, so then all of a sudden I'm sitting in front of a computer all the time, and I'm working with all these different companies and stuff like that. And I kind of had this idea that I was going to make a difference, and here I am, 15 years goes by. I'm sitting in front of the computer. I kind of get this, I get this midlife crisis-y kind of moment where what I'm doing doesn't matter. We need to move. We need to do something different. And I kind of fall into this hole. Convince my family to sell everything, convince my kids to say goodbye to their friends, and we moved 1,200 miles away. While I'm in this bit of a panic for looking for meaning in my life and all this other nonsense. And as a result, like we get there, we get to this house, sight unseen in Tampa, Florida, and the moving guys are bringing the boxes in and unpacking everything, and I have a complete nervous breakdown. Like, what have I done? Like this was the this was by far the stupidest thing I've ever. Like, we sold our house, I pulled the kids away, moved my family away, and I'm driving my wife crazy because I'm pacing, maybe it's not too late, maybe we can go back. What do we do? I don't know anybody here. I don't even know where the nearest pizza place is. And so she throws me out of the house and tells me to take the kids out for a walk because um, the kids, I had to take the kids with me just to basically make sure that I actually came back and didn't just start running north by myself. And so I end up going for a walk, and about, 5 or 6 houses down the street, I run into this older gentleman. He's in his mid 60s, and his name is Dick. And the first thing he does is he's just, says hi to me, but then he gets down on kind of kneeling down, getting eye to eye with my kids, and he's talking to my kids and picking their brains and listening to them yammer on about New Jersey and American Girl dolls and Legos and all this other kind of stuff. And he was like, he came across, at least, genuinely interested in what they had to say, what these two little kids had to say. And then when they were exhausted of everything they had to say, then it was my turn, and I got that kind of same treatment. So what brings you here? And I kind of told my story, and I was a little panicky at the time, and so rather than getting into his story, he just started, like, just advising me, being very neighborly. Hey, here's the best Chinese food place in town. Here's the code for the gate. Garbage day is Tuesday and Friday. Like, all that stuff that when you move into a new house, you're just gonna have to wing it and try to figure it out as you go. But he just really spelled everything out. And I'll tell you what, I have if you ever need a ladder, stop by my house, just go in the garage, take it yourself. Like, really, really cool stuff. And then I left, and I just felt better. I just instantly felt better. And the next day, I run into his wife and have a very similar experience. Fast forward a week or two, we're at their house, and the guy's got a dozen Emmys hanging on the wall, like real, like Emmys, like, I want to thank you for, like
Yeah.
Emmys, like they don't just give these away as far as I know. And so he's got these Emmys, and he's just very humble about it. What's this from? He's like, don't worry about it. It's nothing. And it's
No
just
big
something that
deal.
I do. Yeah. Just a dozen Emmys hanging on the wall. And this goes on for like 2 or 3 months. And then my birthday rolls around, and now I find myself running outside every time I see him walking the dog, so I can go hang out with him and walk around the block, me and this old guy. And so we end up it ends up being my birthday. He rings the doorbell. He's like, hey, I know you're a Red Sox fan, and I know that you've just recently moved here, and when you just, you don't really have any family here, so there's nobody here to really celebrate your birthday, so I got you a little something. And so, how he got those Emmys was he was a producer for ABC Sports, and so he had gotten a bunch of Red Sox players to sign a baseball, and he gave it to me as a birthday gift. And that just floored me. And so I ended up going into my office. I wrote a blog post called "From Now On, I'm going to be a dick to everybody I meet online." And it was like, you talk about clickbait, like like it was just, but it was all about these different, ways that he approached life. This guy became like somewhat of my mentor. He's very humble. He was very kind. He was very giving. He was always looking to find that one thing about you that he can kind of exploit, make you feel better, make you feel comfortable, or just it just made you want to be around him. And so I started this journey of writing that blog post, turned into doing a bunch of speaking gigs about it and telling people about this guy and writing a book about it. And it's just been, it's kind of become this thing, like how I, approach my life and my business is being a dick, being kind to people, being giving, just being aware of what their needs are, and making the focus on them, and trying to be valuable, try to do something valuable for people. And so
That's
so that's
amazing.
kind of the quick version of the story.
No, it's amazing. I mean, that was like, it was his brand. I mean, that's, everyone has
Yeah.
a brand, right? And that's what defines them. And it's, you look at like the way you explain the situation, especially when you explain it in length at, like, different talks and stuff. It's like he did something different. The way he handled interactions with people was different than what most people would do. And that allowed him to stand out in a very unique and special way that's memorable, right? That you now talk about it. You've written blog posts about it. You've talked about this guy on stage. And I
Yeah.
guess like what I'd love to do is kind of transition that into the importance of both a personal brand and just like a brand in general for any company, anybody watching this, whether you're a personal brand or whether you're a company and you're building your brand.
Sure.
What confuses me, and I'm sure it confuses you, is how many people every day, everything they do with their company is bland and vanilla and doesn't have an ounce of uniqueness to it, right? And I've asked this question to a few people. I asked it to Roland Frazier a few weeks ago. Like, why do you think that? Do you think it's just laziness, or do you think it's just there's a lack of I guess importance put on building a brand? Do you think people have a hard time seeing the upside and the financial gratification or like the correlation between building a brand and actually making money? I'm curious about it because there's so many examples of all these fast growing direct consumer brands, these companies online.
Hmm.
And the one commonality they all have is they've all put a lot of time and effort into building a brand and being
Sure.
unique. Purple, Casper, Dollar Shave Club, Harry's. You can go through the list. So I just love to get like your thoughts and opinion on like that divergence right now.
Um, I think, and this is actually really interesting that you wanted to start off with the Dick story because I think it's a really good example of this. I think that the reason that people look beyond branding or don't give it the attention that it needs is because it's so acceptable not to. Walking down the street, I run into this guy. It would have been totally acceptable for him to go, "Hey, welcome to the neighborhood," as he, without even slowing down. And I wouldn't have thought anything of it. It would have been the bare minimum, and the bare minimum is totally acceptable, and that's good enough to meet the guy down the street and like, yeah, I met our neighbor, and that would have been the end of it. But like, there's so much like we have our expectations are so low that like that's perfectly acceptable. It's when somebody steps up and does the extraordinary that makes you go, wow, okay, now like that's something special. Then that's something that I can't get out of my head that I like that I want to be a part of. And but it's because you don't have to. Like you can buy ads and you can put up an e-com site. You can start a business. You can offer a service, and you can do acceptable, and you'll make decent money. But when you look at longevity, when you look at wanting to build something bigger than yourself, and you want to build and you really want to create something that has that kind of grabs the world by the ankles and shakes it upside down, like that's where branding comes in. A lot of people aren't looking for that, like, or they don't think that that's attainable, or they're just out for the money, or whatever it is. That there's that level of acceptability.
Yeah, and I think and by the way, I should have said this from the very beginning. Um, all of our stuff. So if you're watching this and like, well, this sounds interesting, Max, but like, who cares? Like, I think we spent like 3 or 4 days with Mark on a retreat. He came up to meet with us. And we spent like 3 or 4 days. All we did was work on our brand, unicorn, and also personal brands. I mean, we went through a pretty rigorous like checklist and writing out our stories and our journeys and our pain points and what makes us special and all these different things to come up with what we have today. The unicorn brand wasn't really a brand. It was really just a mess. It was a collage of things that we just thrown together over the year before that. And so now it's like everything unicorn, you see all the color coordinated horns and the website and the copy and our bios and all that stuff. That was all done by Mark. So I want to make sure everyone knows that before we go any further,
Thanks.
so people can see the importance of it and the fact that we believe in it, right? We actually did it for our brand, and we're still continuing to work on it and improve it and perfect it every day. I think the other challenge with something like a brand, right, is it's somewhat intangible, right? So I think a lot of people, especially marketers and kind of data focused entrepreneurs and business owners, CEOs, A-type people, they want to be able to say, hey, if I do this and I do this and I put money here, I get this. Right? I have a
Hmm.
step-by-step kind of guide to doing this. Hey, I want to launch an ad. Hey, I want to start an e-commerce store and grow it. I want to optimize for conversions. Like, these are things I can do. I can change the add to cart button, and I can add the timer here, and I can add the exit intent and change the headline. And
Right.
when you're talking about branding, it's like, well, Coke and Apple and these iconic companies, like, yeah, their brand is worth, tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars, but like, how exactly did they do it? It's hard to wrap your head around it. And I'm curious, like, if you think that's also part of it, is the fact that it's intangible to an extent, and there isn't a clear, at least from my perspective, and I think you do have clear steps and stuff, and I'd be curious to hear what some of those steps are. But that it's not as easy as just like do this, this, and then you get this.
Yeah, I think that it is there is that incubation period like where it's not like you just hey, let's build a brand and then tomorrow you're the next Nike. Like it just doesn't exist like that, and it does require investment of time and attention and money and love and and whatnot. But so that's a big part of it. I also think that people tend to not quite understand what a brand is. When
Yep.
we think of branding, we think of logos, we think of fonts and colors and pretty shapes and all that kind of stuff. And that's the furthest thing from like that's not what a brand really consists of. A brand is that feeling that people get. It's what people think about when they hear your name. It's what people say when you're not in the room. It's there's a story about an executive from Coca-Cola, and now Coca-Cola's their market share value, about 50% of their market share value is just the value of their brand, the color red, that font, and the way people feel when they see the that can. And he was quoted as saying that if you were to burn the factories to the ground, lose the magic formula and everything else, take every can of Coke off the shelf, they'd be able to rebuild easily. If you were to wipe out the memory of the people that are customers that like Coke, that the feeling that they have, that memory of them drinking a Coke while mowing the lawn with dad, and if you were to wipe that out, they'd be out of
You're
business
done.
overnight.
Yeah,
So that's
it's
how
amazing.
powerful it really is.
Yeah, it's funny, and I want to continue on this thread. But like, I was getting coffee this morning, and uh, the person yelled out, the number for the order, right? This person's order, and it said 902. And in my head, my instant thing was 10. I just said that. Like, I said it in my
I was
head,
just thinking
right?
that too.
You
Right.
thought that.
Yeah.
Craziest thing. Two other people there said it out loud. 10 and laughed. Like,
Right.
I stopped for a second. Was like, how crazy is that? To think that there's a bunch of strangers here, wildly different ages, backgrounds, and one person says three random numbers, and everybody thinks of the same thing. Like, that was, and
Yeah.
it was interesting timing because I was talking to you today, and it was like, it is, if you're an entrepreneur, like, just think about the power of that. Like, think about how much that's worth to have something so a string of letters, a string of numbers combined, and when you said out loud,
That's right.
everybody thinks of the same thing. It's unfathomable how powerful that is. And you said when you're talking about the
Yeah.
Coke example, like, it's you have people going to a restaurant and they say I'll have a Coke, say hey, we serve Pepsi, okay, I'll have a water. Like, it's
Right.
crazy.
Right. Right.
It's crazy how powerful that is, that you can take water and sugar and a few other ingredients and build an iconic memory for generations of people around the world. And
Right.
that's when I think you're talking about, like, when people think of a brand, they think of a logo and stuff. When I think of it, I think of like that stuff. It's the memory. It's the ability to, like, when you hear something, you think of something, and you actually
Right.
visualize a product or a thing or a time of your life, and the brand, the company, their product is intertwined with that memory, and it's very
Yeah.
difficult to put a dollar value on that.
Yeah. And as a result of that, like you will go out of your way to find it. Whatever your restaurant is, or if you're on, like I know with my family, like whenever we're traveling, There's, if we're going on a long road trip, we will scope out the specific restaurants that we want to go to because, like, I know my kids aren't going to go here and they're not going to want this, and because we're going to stick with that, that brand on the road because we know what we're getting.
Yeah.
But also because it's like our thing, like it's just what we do. And there was a report that came out that, speaking of like fast food and Coke and all the other stuff that's terrible for you, uh, there's a report that came out that was it Chick-fil-A was the slowest um, drive-through of all fast food restaurants.
Really?
And yet people still go. They still know they're going to wait. They still know there's going to be people online. There's still going to be, two lines in the drive-through, and there's going to be somebody walking around, the little iPad taking your order, and you're going to have to wait. And we'll and there's a Chick-fil-A right next to a McDonald's where I live, and you will see, 20 or 30 cars online waiting a half hour at Chick-fil-A and two cars at McDonald's. I mean, you can say like, well, I like that better or what, like we're willing to get past the negative stuff. We're willing to overlook, the stuff that's inconvenient because we stick with the brand because we like that brand.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Like it's this whole world to me, and it's something I'm not an expert at, and I have very little knowledge in. But it, as a marketer, it truly fascinates me. Like the thought of you go you go to a supermarket and you walk through the supermarket and there are 50 options of every product. And despite all of that, despite the fact that some of the, I guarantee you a lot of those options are better, the quality's
Hmm.
better, or the value's better, or anything, it's this is the product that I like. This is the product my parents got and their grandparents got, and I trust and I use, whether it's laundry detergent or paper towels or anything. And it's like that that right there of knowing that if I invest in this asset, this brand, with this customer, it's not just about them spending money today with their first order. It's about the Coca Cola effect. It's about the fact that, hey, if you get that person and that person every holiday, every dinner, every Christmas, they're serving Coca Cola, their kids are going to drink it, and their kids are not just going to say, I like Pepsi. It's no, our family, we had Coke in the household, and that's the product
Yeah,
that I prefer. And then I guarantee when we have kids, I'm not really going to serve soda, but generations have changed. But we'll probably serve another Coke product. They own a bunch of other products now, right? Not Pepsi's not coming in the household because we just
right.
don't like Pepsi,
'Cause-
right?
right.
And it's the same thing with a lot of other brands. It's
Right.
this is the brand we like. Apple. Apple's a perfect example. Like I don't care how much crap people give you for, hey, like, well, this the Galaxy's better technically, and this device came out with this feature first, and the Pixel
Doesn't
did this
matter.
first.
Right.
It doesn't matter. I'm still gonna call my Verizon rep and get the new iPhone on the day it comes out and pay premium for it because it's Apple.
Right.
And I'm still gonna buy the new AirPods when they come out, even though I just got the second ones like 3 months ago, and I'm pissed that Apple came out with the new. Like, it doesn't
Right.
matter. There's something deeper and more fundamental in a
You're
relationship
part,
than the
you're
product.
part of a community. And
Exactly.
and 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 here's the interesting thing with branding is that is how it's not just products, it's not just cans of soda or pairs of sneakers. It's the same with people. We were talking before we got on about our mutual friend Vinny Fisher.
Yep.
And like whether it's him or Roland Frazier, if one of those guys came up and said, "Hey, look, I've been looking at what you're doing, and here's three things that I think you could do to exponentially grow your business," are you going to throw it out? Are you going to go like, "Yeah, okay, all right, let's give it a shot. Let's have a meeting
Yeah.
about it. Let's talk about it," because they're both known as being very, very brilliant, businessmen. Now if it's somebody else just off the street, some random guy just says, "Hey, I saw that your T-shirt, and I think you should do this with your company." You're going to be like, "Okay, thanks," and you're going to walk away because they're not known to you. They don't have the brand. And then you can take it up to another level. You look at somebody like Elon Musk. If Elon Musk were to start a new company tomorrow, he wouldn't have a problem getting funding or find a new client. He'd have $1 million business,
Like that.
instantly the second he filed the paperwork. Whereas other people will work years to get to a place where he gets on day one.
Yep.
It's because he's got a break. He's known for being innovative. He's known for starting companies that succeed and do amazing things. It's like he's not a car guy, he's not a spaceship guy, he's not a PayPal guy. He's an innovator. He's known for having that for having that talent. And so when he innovates something, we all jump on board.
Yeah.
You know,
Like a Kanye
and
West. Like the dude's crazy, and I mean, say whatever you want about Kanye West, but like
right.
he is able to take products that are just objectively not cool and
Mm.
make them cool. He takes like dad sneakers for that like 5 years ago. No millennial, no Gen
Right,
Z would
right,
ever in a million. It'd be like my dad wears those sneakers. I would never be caught dead
right.
with them. And now you have 18-year-olds that wait in line to pay $500 for them.
That's
And
right.
it, like I would love to hear from you. Just I know there's no secret sauce, right? There's no formula to like, hey, if you do this, this, and this, you can build brands like Kanye West or Elon Musk. But from just a high level, I mean, what is it that these individuals and these brands are doing, or where are they investing their time and their resources to 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 do this, right? Like Kylie Jenner just sold her $600 million stake in her cosmetic company
Right,
Coty, valued at $1.2 billion. It's a company that didn't exist 2 years ago, and
right,
I mean it's because of the Kardashian brand, right? They were able to build something,
right.
and it's fascinating to me how like what are these influencers doing and these fast growing brand like companies doing right, that people listening today could start doing or take a page out of their book to get a
Sure.
fraction of what they're doing.
Um, So it all starts with getting clarity, like being really clear about who you are and what you stand for and who you serve, and then getting clear about, well, what do they need, what are they looking for, and how can you give it to them in a way that's different from everybody else. And so when you look at Kylie Jenner, or you look at Elon Musk, or even if you look at like in 2016 Donald Trump. These folks really, really knew who their market was. Like they were clear about who they are, but more importantly, they really knew who they wanted to speak to. They didn't try speaking to everybody. They didn't try to appease everybody. They were very clear about who they wanted to talk to, and they gave them a solution that was different. They gave them something that wasn't the ordinary. If you're an e-com site and you want to sell T-shirts, you have to do something with it that's different. If you're just going to go on Fiverr and buy, 30 or 40 designs and then slap it up on a t-shirt shop, mom and dad will buy one, maybe a couple of your friends, but you're not going to reach beyond that because there's nothing special about it. There's nothing really different about it. And so getting that clarity on that message and that audience, and then really being able to deliver something unique is the first step. You have to be able to do that. And then once you're clear on that, it's about consistency. If you just keep hammering people over the head with that message, it becomes true. It becomes part of who you are. It becomes part of, what you're selling or what you're doing. If you're driving down the highway, you're going to see, one billboard after another for, McDonald's, and it's not that it's not like the reason that they keep hitting you with that is because eventually you're going to be hungry, and it may not be today, it may be another day or whatever, but if they just keep impressing upon you, and showing you that picture, showing you that brand, the same color, the same red and yellow, the same picture of the burger or similar one, same message over and over again, it becomes true. Now, I'm sure you've been to McDonald's at some point,
Yep.
I don't, whether you frequent there or not right now. Like, is the picture of the burger on the billboard the one that you actually get when you walk in the store?
Never.
Like, no, it looks like hell when you walk in the store. But like they're not going to show us that visual. They show us they show us the dream, and they keep and it's that thing. If we just I'm just going to keep showing you what it could be like, this new, this thing that you're going to want over and over and over again. They don't change the message. They don't change the deliverable. Then we eventually, it just becomes our truth. It becomes something that we really want, and then we become dedicated to it. And so it's the same thing here. Kylie didn't, she broke out into different lines within her makeup line, but she didn't all of a sudden start endorsing, and or building cars too, or anything crazy out of left field. She stayed focused. She gave her audience exactly what they wanted in a way that nobody else was able to. She made them feel like they were part of the club. And once you do that, once they're part of the club and they're getting something different, it's like nobody's going to get rid of that. They're going to constantly come back to that because they're part of a community.
Yeah, it's powerful, the idea of a one being different and two building and actually fostering a true community. And I try to impress this on like students of ours all the time, that when they say, hey, this is my offer, my store, and it's not working, and what's wrong with my ads? And a lot of the time it's not necessarily anything wrong with your ads. It's not that you have the wrong manual bid or the wrong campaign structure, or you're setting the wrong daily budget or the wrong rules. It's just where you're sending people don't want to go, right? There's nothing about what they're seeing that says to them like, I need this. This feels
Or
special.
they might need it, or they might want it, but they might not trust that you're the one that's going to deliver it to them, because like I don't know, something about it doesn't feel right. I don't you know I don't know this person. Nobody I know knows them, or whatever. Like there's a disconnect, and so you might actually be paying for an ad that gets somebody interested in your product enough to go look around and buy it from your competitor, because they feel like your competitor is more trustworthy, or because they feel like they know your competitor better, or they feel like your competitor has a message that's more in tune with who they are and what they're looking for. It's like gone are the days where you can just build a program and just slap it online and throw some traffic to it and then have $1 million launches. People are, kind of waking up to that now. And they're really looking for the humanized part of that process, which is, I want to be part of something bigger. I want to be part of a family. I want to know what I'm dealing with or who I'm dealing with. And it's not just about the information, it's about the inclusion.
Yeah, I mean that's one of my one of my friends. He's a member of our community, one of our students. He was telling me the other day, because he's also part of Russell Brunson's mastermind, and he said he was amazed. The first one he went to, or his like his ex coaching club. He has a few programs, but he shut them all down. But he said when I went there, Russell got up on stage and said, "Hey, listen, everything you're gonna learn this weekend is from Expert Secrets book. I'm not gonna be teaching you anything different or new."
Right.
And people
Right.
were okay with that, because that wasn't why they were there. They weren't there to like learn more stuff. They were there because they wanted to be with Russell. Like, it was the community and being near him and being in
Right.
his circle. That's why people are paying the premium, not for knowledge, right? And that, I think a lot of people in our market, the info product world, it's people need to realize that as well. It's like, if it was just about the information, it's all on YouTube. Like, I
Yeah. You
guarantee
can
you,
get
yeah,
buy the book. It's $6 or whatever, and that's it.
yeah. If it was just about information and consumption of information, you can go out there and you could find answers to every question you could possibly have. Go to YouTube.
Hmm.
How do I scale Facebook ads? How do I research Facebook ads? How do I build a brand? What are the secrets to building a brand, right? And again, you have to do your internal vetting. You don't know if this person knows what they're talking about. Anybody can upload a
Right.
YouTube video, but also anybody can put a course out, right? And
Hmm.
sell anything. It's about, do I feel like the person that's communicating this to me, like, do I want to be learning from them? Do I want to be part of their community? Do I relate to them? Do I feel like they have the same vibe as me? Like, there's just so many other elements that go into it beyond just the content and the core product, right? It's like
Right.
Purple and Sealy selling this exact same product, right? They're both mattress companies.
Hmm.
Purple is purple, and nobody's, I think, excited to buy a Sealy mattress anymore, right? It just doesn't
Right.
happen.
Right.
Nobody's excited to buy any mattress at a 1-800 mattress. All those mattresses are like, nobody's going in there to buy them, but they're post on Instagram when they get their purple mattress delivered, like, oh my god, my purple mattress came in, check it
Right.
out, and they're filming them jumping on the bed and stuff. Like, that is the power of actually building something that's different. The product's pretty much the same, but the way they've delivered it and the community they built around it and the other intangibles they developed around it are special, and people want to be a part of the Purple Mattress Group or the Casper Mattress family or whatever it might be.
Right. And if you look at, and that's actually a really good example, because if you look at the way the other mattress companies in the stores, how they grow their business or how they do business or whatever, is they have an endless run of full page ads in the Sunday paper. And so any Sunday you can open up your local newspaper, I don't care what it is, and there will be ads for mattress stores in there. And the idea is that we're just going to keep hitting you with this ad because we don't know what else to do. And so eventually you're going to open up the paper and you're going to need a mattress, and you're going to be like, oh, look, they're having a sale.
Yep.
But but otherwise you just skip over it, you don't even see it, as opposed to building something that people want to be a part of, which is what Purple does. And it's such a different, and that's what a lot of people are doing now by going like, okay, I put up a store today, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy some ads, and I'm just going to get this in front of people, and then hopefully somebody will eventually buy something, instead of building something that people really want to be a part of, creating a message that people are want to actually sign their name to, giving so much value that people want to be able to pay it back somehow. Like that's what you guys are notorious for this. Like, I've seen some of your videos where you're 2 hours in, doing Q&A and making sure that every single person that gets off that call or that video is got everything they needed out of it. Most people aren't willing to go to those lengths. When you do, that's building something that people want to be a part of, because they know that, like, if they're going to give that away for free, imagine what the paid version of this thing looks like.
Yeah, without a doubt. So a this is more of a question that's for me, but I think it should provide value for everyone. One of the challenges that I've always had is, like, these companies like Purple and stuff. They're companies, right? There's a lot of people behind them, but at the front, it's a company and a brand there, right? And so even if the owners of that company are just kind of introverted, they're not showmen, they're not things like this, they can still have crazy actors that are dropping plate glass sheets on eggs and have
Right,
the
right.
that woman who's like doing all kinds of crazy stuff. When you're talking about personal brands, which a lot of people are building personal brands, or they're in the info product space where it's inevitable that the two are attached. um how I'm trying to figure out the best way to word this. Like, I can't get on camera and do crazy stuff. Like, it's not me, right?
Right.
There would be a disconnect because I'd have to be that person then all the time. I'd have that person when I teach and train and stuff, and I just couldn't do it. So when
Right,
I put
right.
out content, it's me being me, and that obviously works for a group of people, the authenticity and all that stuff. But I guess that's a challenge, and I'm curious just to hear your thoughts on, like, how to best effectively build, like, the difference between a personal brand and a brand where the company is kind of separate from the individual. Like, the best ways to develop that brand as an individual and grab attention and stand out while still recognizing the fact that it's a person, and they can't really be as crazy. They can't separate the two as much. I'm kind of rambling there, but it's hard to explain
Sure.
what I'm getting at. But I'm just curious to hear, like, your thoughts on the personal brand side of things.
So it really depends from one company to the next, and like, and what you want to, how you want to approach it. So for example, Nike, does Nike really have a personal brand associated with their company?
No, I
You
mean,
could argue no,
little
but
ones.
but also but then when you look at, this is why they attach their wagon to Michael Jordan and
Yeah.
and put out, the Air Jordan. So they are leveraging personal brands. It's just not within the company, and that's what makes the most sense for them. If you're, so that works over there, and you could say the same for Coke, leveraging Taylor Swift, or, and that's why a lot of bigger companies will leverage somebody else's personal brand, bring them in. It's endorsements, influencers, Kardashian type stuff, like whatever you want to call it, like, that, but that's why they do what they do. Um, to leverage that personal aspect of it, because we like to do business with, we'll buy from a company, but we'll fall in love with a person. And so if you have somebody that's a big fan of Pepsi, and all of a sudden Taylor Swift starts, you have a 13-year-old girl that loves Pepsi, and Taylor Swift starts drinking Coke, and won't stop talking about it, you will shift that person's that person's opinion
Yep.
and get them over to Coke. That's just because we want to be connected to that person. If you're selling info products, it's a whole different thing. Like, you can't outsource your personal brand to somebody else. And just, it's great when if Kim Kardashian said, "Hey, Max is really smart when it comes to ads," like that really helps build your level of expertise. However, like, people still have to like you, and they still have to be connected to you. And they don't need you to jump up on a chair at a Chipotle and start singing your favorite song in front of everybody, like, but do something stupid or crazy. But they need to, like they need to be connected to you, because you're the one giving out the information. And when I like and I trust, and I'm paying attention to you, then everything that you say becomes that much more credible. And so the important thing is that you're actually authentic in who you are. Like, I would never tell you to get up and start doing crazy stuff, because it's not who you are. And it would feel really inauthentic, and it would feel really fake. And then how you do one thing is how you do everything. And now all of a sudden, if you're fake in this area, I'm going to assume that you're fake in all these other areas as well. And now all of a sudden you have no credibility. You're shot, and I won't give you the time of day. As opposed to, if I meet you in person, and then I see you online, and then I read a blog post, or I see a video, and I buy a course, and it's the same guy over and over again, and you're likable, and there's something about you that just is really genuine. That's just your personal brand. Like, it doesn't have to be, like, you don't have to wear a big red nose and a wig in order to build a brand. Um, and it could be like those little things, like Gary Vee. He's got a very distinct personal brand. Like, he's gives away tons of value. He's got, there are certain ways that he delivers things that are just, the same every time he delivers them. And if you meet him in person, he's going to act exactly the same.
Yep.
You're not going to be like, wow, I don't even recognize this guy. It's just who he is. And he doesn't change it for anybody. A lot of people don't like him for it. A lot of people love him for it. And that's cool. And that's okay.
Yeah, it's a challenging area because it's like I see so many people getting into the space, and they're going through, there's a handful of people out there that kind of teach people how to make courses and create info products, and so they're going through this program, and then it's very cookie cutter, and they're coming out on the other side, and like you're seeing a lot of the exact same marketing
Hmm.
strategies, the exact same creative strategies, and you can tell watching these people that if that is who you are, I probably don't want to be around you. But it seems like you're just
Right.
that's not who you really are. Like it's just it's so over the top and so like fake and phony. And I think people need to understand that. Like if you're getting into the space and you're putting out courses or trainings or want to do coaching, like it is very very difficult to be a kind of who you are in camera, trying to be the fake person that gets attention all the time. Eventually, unless you plan to do it for like 6 months and try to make a lot of money and then just move on, eventually
Right.
there's going to be a tipping point where you just can't do it anymore. And then all the traction you've built up because of that person, it just washes away. Which I think not enough people are, you know, I think it's I don't know if it's a generational thing or it's just because of how technology is evolved and content consumption's evolved, but we've all become very very short sighted in
Hmm.
our goals and our strategies and our plans. And so I see a lot of people planning like daily, weekly, monthly, planning a few months out, but they're not looking 3 years out, 5 years out.
Right.
Um,
They're not
yeah,
building a business. They're building a hobby, or they're building a launch, or whatever, but they're not actually building a tangible business. And I think people are getting tired of it. Like, we're getting tired of the social media guru that became the Bitcoin guru that's now the cannabis guru.
yeah,
Like it's just like enough of that stuff already. And it becomes a credibility thing. where it's like, okay, so every time the new thing, like you make the easy money, but you're not building a business. Like you're not
Yeah.
building something that's going to last. You're not building a brand. You bought a logo on Fiverr, you put up a website, you sold a bunch of stuff, and then when that time came and went, you have nothing and you have to start over again. And it's a business. I mean, I guess, or it's a job or whatever you want to call it, but you're not building a brand that has longevity that's going to actually mean something a year from now or 2 years from now.
Totally agree. So on that note, I'm gonna cut us off so we can go over to pay traffic training. Just to answer a few questions. That's cool with you, Mark.
Sure.
Anybody watching on YouTube right now or other places on Facebook, the rest of the internet worlds, if you want to have the ability to ask our amazing guests every week questions and get some personal kind of one-on-one time with them, make sure to join Pay Traffic Training, paytraffictraining.com. You can also check out, we're doing some really, really cool stuff next week and for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. If you go to unicornsneakpeek.com, you can kind of get a sneak peek at all the deals we're running next week, get early access to it, plus some amazing bonuses. So go check that out, unicornsneakpeek.com. And if you're in Pay Traffic Training, hang on for 1 minute. We're going to cut the feeds, and we'll move over to the Q&A. So I'm just going to cut that.